Hello and welcome. Let's start with the latest on the political turmoil in Madagascar. After the military takeover, Ousted President Andry Rajoelina has confirmed for the first time that he had fled the country. Now, Madagascar's presidency released a statement late on Wednesday saying that Rajoelina left the nation between the 11th and the 12th of October after quote-unquote explicit and extremely serious threats were made against his life. Now, according to media reports, Madagascar's impeached President Rajoelina was evacuated on Sunday aboard a French military plane following weeks of youth-led protests. Rajoelina has accused the National Assembly of colluding with the military to remove him from office. With this, Madagascar has become the latest of several former French colonies to have fallen under military control after coups in Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Gabon and Guinea since 2020. While ousted President Rajoelina has fled the country, the military leader behind his ouster is set to become the new president. Now, his name is Colonel Michael Randrianirina, and he will be sworn in as Madagascar's new president on Friday.
We had to take responsibility yesterday because there is nothing left in the country, no president in the Senate, no government. Madagascar is a dying country. We must take responsibility as citizens and patriots. According to the ruling issued by the High Constitutional Court, I am taking the position of president. These friends of mine are with me. There must be an oath-taking.
Madagascar's new military leader made the announcement after the African Union suspended the island nation following Rajoelina's ouster. Colonel Randrianirina is part of Madagascar's elite military CAPSAT unit that played a key role in the 2009 coup that brought Rajoelina to power. Randrianirina had long been a vocal critic of Rajoelina's administration and was reportedly imprisoned for several months in 2023 for plotting a coup. On the 11th of October, as the Gen Z protests against Rajoelina gained momentum, Randrianirina recorded a video in which he called on the security forces to disobey orders to open fire on protesters. Following this, some CAPSAT soldiers joined the protests. On the 14th of October, the CAPSAT elite military unit took power, moments after Rajoelina's impeachment. Madagascar's new leader has said that the military would rule for up to 2 years, alongside a transitional government before organizing new elections. The military takeover in Madagascar has alarmed the international community. The UN has called the change of power in Madagascar unconstitutional. Meanwhile, the youth-led Gen Z movement that initiated the protests on the 25th of September over a lack of water and energy has welcomed the military's intervention.
The military stance is something we have been waiting for a very long time. First, there was the gendarmerie and all that, fighting alongside the government. Meanwhile, we saw that the people were at the end of their tether. It was truly wonderful that the army took part in the people's demands.
While Madagascar's military leadership has refused to call the takeover a coup, the international community remains concerned about the future of a country grappling with political chaos. Now, for more on this, we have with us Kani Magubani, who is a political analyst, joining us live from Johannesburg, South Africa. Thank you for being with us, Kani.
Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Now, President Andry Rajoelina has confirmed that he has fled Madagascar. Meanwhile, Colonel Michael Randrianirina is set to be sworn in as the new president. What does this mean for Madagascar's political stability, and what do we know about the background of Colonel Randrianirina?
Well, I think since the last time we spoke, a lot has happened, and it would seem as if former President Rajoelina has left the same way that he arrived. You know, his entry into the presidency in 2009 was through a coup, and it would seem that it was the same people who brought him into power that ultimately took him out of power. But there have been a number of developments here and a number of concerns that I have. The last time we had an interview, it was a clear Gen Z protests. And we know that these Gen Z protests have brought down governments in places like Peru, Nepal, and Morocco. And so there's definitely a wave, you know, of youth-led protests that have been taking place in many poor countries around the world where the young people have taken the lead. And it would seem that, I wouldn't want to say out of nowhere, CAPSAT came and took over the protests, but it would seem as if that this was an opportunistic move, which met time and opportunity by the elite military team, which we have to distinguish is a breakaway a military organization from Madagascar's official military, led by, and I have to say his name slowly because it's quite a long name, Michael Randrianirina. You know, he's come up and he's become a very figure almost overnight. And so we have to ask ourselves, what is at the heart, you know, of it's the perfect opportunity. The youth, they believe in him, and the youth believe in his leadership. And so the question is this time an opportunity? Does he have the youth's best interest at heart? Because there were bread and butter issues which started these protests of water outages, of lack of employment. Is he going to stay on that agenda? Countries like Burkina Faso under Ibrahim Traoré done phenomenally well under his military leadership, because we've seen him rejecting old colonial rule and opting for a new African identity for the country. So the question is, what kind of development is this new president going to take? Because it has been a very opportune time for him to come into power. But military leadership also has its limitations. We don't know much about him. We know that he comes from the south of the country, and between 2016 and 2018, he was the governor of the southern part of the country, which is Android. So he does have some leadership, but more than that, very little is known about him.
Right. Kani, you mentioned that the youth have welcomed him. How has the public responded to the military's decision to install Randrianirina as the president? And what does this indicate about public trust in the country's democratic institutions?
I think there's definitely been a breakdown in the country's breakdown of, in terms of the country's trust in its democratic processes, because Rajoelina was re-elected by the people in 2023. It was no longer a coup, he was the people's choice. Yes. Right now, what we are seeing is that the new president that's going to be, put into power tomorrow, that's going to be inaugurated, he's not coming in through an electoral process. He's coming in through a military coup, where the official government has been removed. And we know that President Rajoelina himself had disbanded his cabinet and was due to appoint, the new cabinet when, the military coup happened. So the question now is, who's going to be part of this new cabinet that's going to serve under the new president? And how are they going to, bring forward a much needed infrastructure development, much needed entry into the global village as an economic player? They're really starting on the back foot. Yes. Madagascar is painfully poor. But, as much as the world is alarmed and is calling it political chaos, I think we need to take a wait-and-see approach to see if this new president is going to bring about the change that the people of Madagascar are so desperately needing.
Right. And just lastly, wait-and-see approach, absolutely, but the military has promised elections within 2 years. How realistic is that timeline, and what challenges could hinder Madagascar's return to civilian rule?
Well, I think these 2 years are the wait-and-see period, because in these 2 years, the first priority is to stabilize the country, to stabilize the markets, to stabilize the economy, the currency, to build up, an industrial manufacturing industry, to use the resources of Madagascar. Currently, Madagascar is 80% agricultural productivity, but they are not players in other industries like mining and other core industries that other countries are playing in. So this 2 years for me is about political stability. And after 2 years, we may not necessarily see military leadership, depending on who the people of Madagascar, vote for. But I think institutions like the AU, I don't think they should have been so quick to revoke the membership of Madagascar from the AU, because then it means that they only stand on the side of democratically elected governments. I think that the country of Madagascar needs guidance and leadership. And this is where the new president's hallmark is going to come in, because he's transcending the position of a military leader. He is now stepping into a position of the president of the country, and that's going to need him to deal with issues of governance. And does he have what it takes to be a statesman? And will he be the recognized choice of the people of Madagascar in 2 years' time? I think that's what we stand to see.
Kanye, it's always great to have you on the show. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Want the facts?
The latest developments?
News that gets straight to the point.
Well, we've got all three just for you. This is Firstpost Live, a brand new show, your window into what really matters.
Don't miss it.